This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. We do have some folks still logging in, but we'll go ahead and get things underway. We are recording this webinar for you to view later or share it with other folks. So I will turn it over to Gayla to get us started.
Good morning, everyone. Glad that you have joined us on this beautiful Wednesday morning, Mornings on Main. Just a couple updates. As you all know, we're doing Mornings on Main every Wednesday morning at 8:30, and just want to give a highlight for next week's Mornings on Main. And we are working with SBA to have a representative from them to do the webinar. Sheila Forrester from the Kansas City office is set to present to us. As far as we know, as you guys know, every day things are changing. But we were excited to be able to secure Sheila in the way that she can bring the last information that we know about SBA and how their work with the stimulus package is all kind of packaged together. So be sure to look into all those programs as you can find on our website through our portal there. Janie's done a great job of listing all kinds of different resources for everyone through COVID-19. So be sure to join us next Wednesday as well. But we're fully excited to bring today's speakers to you. It's all about communication, and many of you all have had Ben Muldrow, fortunately, in your communities. Hi, Ben. And we're really excited that Ben is here with us this morning to share, just some best practices of communication. And Ben is always such inspiring to us. Then Lindsay Baxter is also going to join us from Excelsior Springs. Many of you all, she's a peer to you, but as you all know, she's been doing some tremendous work in Excelsior Springs even before this COVID-19 started with all of us. And then also we're gonna have Jeff Rogers from Independence. Jeff is as amazing as all the others. We are just so fortunate to have all three speakers this morning. Ben, sorry, I was going to say we are so fortunate to have all these folks in Missouri, but you come and join us in Missouri quite often, so we call you home folk too. But without any other updates right now, we're going to go ahead and get started with Ben.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to hit on some very basics and some things that we've been thinking about, and hopefully some of this will resonate with you all. One of the big things that we've been doing, it started in Florida with all the Florida Main Street programs, then has moved to Michigan and Colorado, South Carolina, is introducing this concept of what we call Main 5, and we're helping or trying to help Main Street organizations to do a little bit better job at telling their story. I think one of the things that we've noticed over the 40+ years of being in the middle of this Main Street experiment is the fact that we're so busy doing that we don't necessarily have the time to tell others what we're doing, and we hope that this is an opportunity for us to kind of take some of this time that we've been given and enhance some of our communication. So I want to do a quick rundown of that with you guys today, and feel free to jump in and ask questions along the way. Keith, if you can, I guess you'll know when to advance based on what I'm saying.
If I don't, Ben, just cue me.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we've realized is that we need to always remember that we're not our audience. We are so entrenched in the Main Street world that we talk about things like SBA loans and facade grants and building inventories, and we kind of forget that a lot of times the people that we're communicating to have no clue what that means. So always remember that as we're working through this, we're dealing with a lot of folks that maybe don't speak the language, but at the same time, just like Gayla said, even when they know what they're talking about, it seems like every day everything's changing. So make sure that you are communicating in a way with the goal of clarity. I think that's a big thing for us to kind of focus in on. Go ahead and advance, Keith. One of the things that is kind of an interesting little exercise that we've shared with communities, and we will make this available to you all as a PDF. This might be a good exercise for some of your boards as they're unable to meet in person. As we all know, Main Street organizations have mission statements and vision statements, and they always talk about elevator speeches and all this kind of stuff. But the thing that we've come to realize is every single board member is involved in your organization for a different reason. They bring a different passion to the story. And we were working out in Oregon and came across this Mad Lib, and I think it's just the best way to do this. It's a very, very simple little exercise that allows each and every board member to truly create their own elevator speech. It's this simplified opportunity to springboard a conversation about where your passion lies and why you choose to believe in your downtown. So like I say, I'll share that as a PDF, but that could be something good from a communication standpoint to share with your board members. Strangely, I think oftentimes either our board presidents, or if you're in an organization that has staff, the communication seems to always be perceived as being somebody else's job. And exercises like this are really good ways to reinforce and spread that it's truly everybody's job to talk about what Main Street does. I wanted to try to keep this very, very simple from a communication toolbox. Again, like we see, you know, using Facebook and using it to its full potential for the first time ever. We've started doing things like Facebook Live broadcasts and stuff like that. We have an audience that's ready. In addition to that, using Instagram and the combination of Facebook and Instagram, the stories functions are particularly important and useful right now. If you are using Twitter and know how to use Twitter, go for it. If not, don't feel overly compelled at this point. I think that it's one of those things where that platform is a little bit on cruise control, but now might be an interesting time for you to look at things like surveys. That's actually a Survey Monkey logo, the green head. You know, collecting data. As you have customers that are feeling disconnected from your district, you might be able to hone in on what are some of the things you missed most, what are some of the things that you're longing for. And it's an interesting time for us to be able to get some of that information. And then also the final icon is a Zoom icon, but just thinking about and creating good ways to have virtual meetings to continue conversations going. And as we're participating in one today, you know, things are now relevant that maybe weren't relevant before. So with that, I want to introduce this basic concept of the 5 audiences of Main Street. As we've worked in the Main Street world for almost 20 years, we've come to realize that every Main Street organization really shares the same 5 audiences. They're talking to donors, they're talking to owners, they're talking to public, they're talking to volunteers, and they're talking to the government. And you can kind of see the breakdown of each of those. Each one of these audiences needs to be communicated to in a slightly different way. But when you really think about it, those 5 simple audiences are a pretty holistic message for all the things that Main Street's doing. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to spend just a couple of minutes per audience to talk about some things you might need to be thinking about if you're not already, as it relates to communicating to those 5 audiences in Main Street. So we'll start with donors. With our donors category, one of the big things is if you have event sponsors and you've had to postpone or cancel events, obviously you need to keep them in the loop. You need to talk to folks about new dates or refunds and make sure that you have open lines of communication there. We're finding that people are particularly maybe individuals who are buying tickets aren't quite as understanding, but definitely from a corporate side, they're kind of falling into the fluidity of things. If you have quote members, you need to make sure that your members all the way from your board to your individual, you know, committee members they need to know what you're doing. They need to know whether they're playing a part or not. But kind of that from that donor standpoint, you know, if I gave you money to do something, what are you doing? Investors, if you already have pre-existing connections with investors, you can be that portal to help them know how they might be able to help. Whether it is, we had a really great story of a Main Street community that connected a local manufacturer with a downtown hospital to be able to provide some supplies. Just interesting things that you wouldn't typically think of, but being that connector and connecting those dots. And then just from a program funder standpoint, depending on how your community is set up, just making sure that people are kept in the loop of what's going on with the organization. And as they might see a downtown that is shuttered temporarily during the crisis, you want to make sure that you're communicating to them everything that's going on. So then from there, we jump to the owners category. And I would argue that right now, this is probably the category that is taking the most of your time. This is building owners, property owners, business owners, potential investors in development downtown. Rochester, Michigan just launched a closed Facebook group for their merchants. They have a particularly large downtown, 400 plus businesses. They have a particularly strong Main Street program. They had actually, I think, always been a little hesitant to create a closed Facebook group for their businesses because they weren't sure how much they wanted them to be able to complain in a centralized location, but they have been remarkably surprised and pleased with that avenue for sharing information and helping people to get on the same page. Having just a simplified list of what's going on, I'll talk about that a little bit more, but just any of the kind of actions that are relevant to the business owners, where in a single simple place they can see everything you're working on. This next one is something that I thought about yesterday. My middle brother, Chris, is helping a lot of downtown merchants right now launch online stores. And one of the things that we love the idea of is a virtual ribbon cutting. Position your Main Street organization to be the one who is out there celebrating in a creative and unique way every single time a business starts to take products online, a restaurant starts to add online ordering. All of those options, like, turn that into an opportunity to celebrate. Another interesting trend that we're seeing that restaurants that are trying to integrate some grocery deliveries into their food delivery. This might be an interesting kind of sales channel for you to share with them. We're seeing some Main Street communities where the Main Street is trying to become a little bit of an air traffic controller for centralized delivery of the products. As we're moving to more and more driving restrictions in states, we're starting to a delivery system to occur. The next one on the list, I say with a little bit of, I don't want to get into any of the discussion about mask versus no mask. I think that everyone is in agreement that our medical professionals need to be protected first and foremost. The evidence seems to be on both sides of the argument about the effectiveness of other things when wearing them in public. But I do think that if we follow any of the trends of any of the other nations, we will see a mask become mandatory for public. So understanding that if that is the case, customer interactions are now going to incorporate that, and that might be something that you can tap into. Just think about it. I'm not saying yeah, I'm not saying no, just saying it should be on our radar. If you haven't already, think about creative and branded curbside signs, or signs that help people to know that online stores are available. One of the big features, and this is something that's a little hard to get your head wrapped around, but I put learn about future supply issues. Perfect example, we have a bike shop in our downtown right now. The bike shop has had to dramatically change the way they're doing business. They're still allowing for drop-offs. They're doing repairs, but they're dropping it off, then they're sanitizing it outside, they're bringing it into their locked store, doing the repairs, and then they're doing a wireless payment and pick up with no contact. But one of the things that they're most scared of is they're having supply chain issues with their access to bikes that's going to affect them come July. So it's one of those things where we need to at the very least let our businesses know that we are aware that all of this that we're dealing with, our Asian supply centers have been dealing with already, and it will cause a chain reaction of product availability in the line. And then finally, I just wanted to put this on there just again to keep it on the radar. As the stimulus checks start to make their way out, every single customer has different circumstances. We have some, obviously we've got folks in our community that are still going to work every day. We have others that have been out of work and desperately need those stimulus checks just to make ends meet. But it is important to be aware that with the issuing of those checks, there will be additional income coming into the community, and you just have to keep that on your radar. So then from there, we jump over to public. You guys were talking about this morning, doing things for your owners, like trying to demystify all the different loans and supports and that kind of stuff. You do not need to try to make yourself a master of all these things. In my opinion, there's so many folks that are tying into it, but when you come across information that you find might be helpful, just be quick to pass that on to folks. This was something that I found in a Facebook group last night, comparing some of the different SBA disaster loans. So just be that pass along, but don't sit there and try to understand every single facet of the funding. It's good to have a good base knowledge of it, but it changes too quick. So with our public, those are our customers that have been disconnected. A couple things there. If you are able to organize any kind of delivery system, be one of the primary marketers of that across the board, where it's like, hey, there are delivery options available to you. Make sure that you're marketing what is open. Offer the opportunity for businesses to do video tours of their own stores, and then you share them online. And just remember, as hard as this is, as difficult as your jobs are right now trying to help your district, there is a silver lining. We are given a gigantic gift of everything that has been our largest, say, hurdle, the ease of Amazon Prime, the overwhelming product supply and diversity of Walmart. Everything has been disrupted. Everything has been changed. Where these major retailers might not be able to be as adaptable or might not be able to be as stocked, we're seeing local mom and pops step up to the plate and create and fill the kind of the gaps, creating their own solutions and filling the gaps in the supply chain. And now is your opportunity to show them what Prime really looks like. They can order things and they can come pick them up in a safe fashion. So just realize that as hard as things are, now's the opportunity. I wanted to share with you 2 slides from Woodstock, Virginia. They went through and they just created a very, very simple chart that highlights this is all of their businesses, and whether they have products online, whether they're doing call-in or whether they're doing delivery. And then the next slide covers our dining and the different options on the dining. So are they doing delivery? Are they doing takeout, curbside? Are they closed temporarily? So simply being that kind of traffic control for all those different that different information is real important for us. And then of course, we're also seeing all kinds of things coming out at the public. The last night was the second Great American Takeout. I'm sure all of y'all have seen that. Apparently today is shopping night in America. So we're seeing a lot of different promotions. People will probably grow tired of this as they stay stuck in their house, but right now is a good time. So just make sure that you're taking that and sharing that and using that excitement that people have. With our volunteers, volunteers are left kind of twiddling their thumbs a little bit. I've just got a couple ideas I want to throw your way. If you don't already have a block captain program in your downtown, this might be an interesting way to take some of your board members or some of your volunteers and start to create virtual block captains where they have a certain number of businesses in a certain block that they're focused on making those connections, become that support system, and spreading some of that responsibility out from your leadership to your volunteer base. I create a volunteer marketing army. We have a lot of people who are at home who are they're not necessarily as busy as they used to be. So they might be able to help some of these businesses market. Always push that importance of sharing, liking, and commenting on any of your business posts from your downtown. And then also, it's also very, very important for our volunteers to share great experiences that they're having. Just turn into that kind of testimonial marketing engine. And then the final audience is our government. These are everything from our local government up to our state agencies. Just stay in the loop with what's going on with the city. If you've got good relations with your public works, maybe check in with them. As we start to move towards driving bans, which might or might not happen, it's hard to tell. We're going to end up having our police put in a pretty hard spot where they're going to be enforcing a pretty hard rule. So connecting with them and supporting them. Using this time to fine tune your communication with local officials, making sure that you're reporting to, maybe there's an email communication chain that's tying into your elected officials. And even little things like we just got emails yesterday from our Main Street program locally where we can do all kinds of things online with our library because our library is shut down. I thought that was a really great thing to share. And then finally, just kind of remembering, let the city be the voice telling you the things that you're not allowed to do, and let Main Street be the voice of telling you what you can do. It's a really great and logical breakdown of how you communicate. So hopefully that helps. Again, I know that you all are overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed with everything that you're trying to do, everybody that you're trying to help. Unfortunately, there will be truly sad stories that come out of this. There will be businesses that don't make it, but there also is this amazing opportunity to create a dramatically different and more passionate connection with downtown. So I just want you all to know I appreciate all the hard work you're doing, and I'm going to stick around and answer any questions at the end if there are any. But thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Ben. I was going to ask if you wanted to do a commercial real quick for your downtown happy hour and share that with folks.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I have had the privilege of kind of teaming up with Joe Borgstrom with Place in Maine and Jeff Sigler of Revitalize or Die. And every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central, we do a little Facebook Live show where we're just trying to get together. We're trying to share the things that we've seen that are cool, creative, I guess creations of the week kind of thing, talking about some of the biggest challenges of the week, and then just also just creating a place where people from the Main Street world can get in and chat with one another for a little while each week, a little bit of a therapy session with liquid lubrication. So we invite you all to join us. There's actually a downtown happy hour Facebook group, and you are more than welcome to join that. And we'll be sharing resources as they come along, just trying to keep everybody connected and keeping them a little sane. So thanks for that.
It was fun. I participated last Thursday. It was a great time. So thank you guys for doing
Awesome.
that.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Ben. Jeff, we're going to turn it over to you. We're moving into the point with some directors, some folks locally here in Missouri that have some experience doing this in their own districts. So Jeff, if you want to start by telling folks a little bit about your district and then some of the things you guys are doing as communication to keep folks informed of what's happening in downtown Independence.
Sure. Welcome everyone. My wife and I actually co-direct, and our district is made up of around 100 different businesses. We have been in lockdown for a couple of weeks now, so things are constantly changing, and it's become really important for us to try to find consistent places to keep information flowing and And we've got an added challenge in that our website also has been infected by a virus, a bit ironic. And it's to the point we're going to have to scrap it. The infection got so deep and start anew. So we've lost that communication channel right now.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that's been a fun challenge. Right now, one of the things that we've trying to do, and it kind of piggies off of what Ben was saying, we've made sure that we've had a weekly call with our city council representative, with our city public information officer and the social media manager with the city, so that we all stay informed about what's happening with cancellations, with restrictions. We're letting them know what businesses are open, what modifications are being made to businesses, that type of thing. But we quickly discovered it was nearly impossible for us to know what was happening with so many businesses changing on a almost day-to-day basis without creating some very specific structure. And what we decided to do was kind of lay out Monday through Friday what type of communication can happen on each day. So we didn't keep repeating the same thing over and over and get mired down in the details. So for us, we send out an email on Monday just asking business updates. We've pretty much made an easy form for people to fill in and just let us know, is there no change from the previous week, or fill in the appropriate blanks as you can.
Jeff, I want to ask a quick question. Did you use an online form or a Google form? How are you collecting that information?
Yeah, we created our own fill-in form, and we send it both in the body of a text message as well as through email. So a couple of different ways that people can get us that information. Most of the people right now are responding to us via email, but not everybody. Some are not good with email, and that's why we also have the text list that goes out.
Okay, good, great.
We also then on Tuesday, we send out a status update similar to what Ben showed, breaking down all of our businesses by category and then what they're doing. So it lets everybody know within the business community, and then we're able to share that out on social media channels as well as to who's open where, that type of thing. So that is one of the big things that happens on Tuesday. The good thing, but by asking those questions on Monday, it also helps us form some of our social media messaging, so we know who's open or what special new offering they might have, and we're able to highlight some of that as we do continued communication. For example, one of our fine dining restaurants let us know this Monday that they were creating Easter meal kits for 4 people. So people will be able to pick it up on Saturday and have kind of that fine dining experience with instructions on how to prep that meal on Sunday.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so fun things that we've discovered that sometimes get lost as we're trying to follow all the different social media pages to find out what people are doing, to be able to get that information on a specific day has helped a lot.
Jeff, would you mind sharing that form with us and we can push it out to other folks?
Sure, no problem.
That'd be great.
Then on Wednesdays, that's our resource update day. So on this, we've just created a PDF that we send out with a listing of websites, webinars, all in one document, so people can refer to that and they know it'll be updated on Wednesday with new information. We also prep our Friday happy half hour on Wednesdays too. We send out a drink recipe, letting people know that, hey, if you want to join us on our Friday happy half hour, and we say half hour because we use Zoom for that, and we don't have to pay for less than 40 minutes. So that's what we've been doing, although we've discovered that they have been gifting us unlimited time on that half hour, on that happy half hour. So we've been taking advantage of that as well, and it has spilled into an hour or more. But so that on Friday, all of the businesses, and in fact, the Chamber of Commerce has joined us, the EDC and different council members have for our happy hour. It's a good time to kind of chat with others, to discuss non-virus related things. It's kind of nice to have a moment to not think about the stress, and for people to remember that we're a community and we're friends. That's been extremely helpful at keeping people's sanity there. One of the big things in communication that we try to also do.
People are still looking for those ways to connect. So I think that that's great that you guys are providing a way for people to still see their friends and have that connection, even though they're isolated in their homes or, you know, can't visit the various shops downtown.
Absolutely. And it's becoming even more so as more restrictions continue to go into place. We are trying to limit the number of things that we do send out on a daily basis, because so much is coming out and it becomes easy to ignore some of the stuff that's coming out. So the challenge is trying to limit it to one communication a day that's formal. We've had to modify that occasionally when some urgent information has come through or we need to push something out, but we are trying to be respectful of that and let people you know, digest it one time a day and wait for the next morning for any additional information that might be coming their way. The Chamber of Commerce for our city and the EDC, they've had some excellent resources for our business community, and so we make sure that we remain in contact with them. We share their links in that weekly communication that we send out. And like I said, they're part of our happy half hour every week as well. So it's good that actually groups that have kind of been connected in the past have been even more so through this. So we're finding that as one of those positives that might come out of this. And then we're keeping all of our committee meetings. Those scheduled times that already existed, we've moved over to Zoom meetings. The same's happening with our executive meeting, our board meeting. And with most of those meetings, I've invited either a city council person, someone from the city manager's office, or the mayor to speak at the beginning of the meeting to just kind of bring everybody an update from those upper channels that lets people know that the information they're receiving is the most up to date and coming from, you know, the highest sources that are out there. And I think that's provided a little bit of assurance as well.
Great.
And
thank you, Jeff.
I'll end it there. You bet.
Thank you, Jeff. I want to remind folks of the chat function. If you have any questions for Ben or for Jeff or for Lindsay, go ahead and type those into your chat question area, and we will come back to that as soon as we're finished with the last presentation, which brings me to Lindsay Baxter, who's the Executive Director for the Downtown Excelsior Partnership. Lindsay, tell us a little bit about Excelsior Springs and then how you are communicating and keeping those various audiences informed.
Hi, everyone. Excelsior Springs, we're a little under 12,000 in population, and we sit about 25 minutes outside of the Kansas City area. We're probably what I would say, we're the last city before you go completely rural, heading the other direction from Kansas City. We also do not have an interstate system that goes through our town. So previously we've been very dependent upon tourism and support from residents. We don't just get traffic that comes by. So I'm going to probably be echoing a lot of what has already been said and what we should be doing and how we are doing it. But I was going to talk about two different voices that I've been using. And that first voice is for our downtown businesses. And that voice only occurs in a private downtown Facebook group we have that's just for merchants, property owners. We have a couple of city council people in there, my board, and some of our committee chairs are a part of that. The second voice I'm going to talk about in a little bit is the voice for our downtown consumers, and that's obviously on our generic Downtown Excelsior Springs, Missouri Facebook page that everyone can see. So some of the things I've done in our merchant circle is we're a little bit different than Jeff in that my businesses want constant updates as soon as something comes out. So that's what we've been doing. I probably make myself more available than I should, but I also want the businesses in our community to know that we're here for them, that our organization's here for them throughout this time. Any major changes and new program implementations, like our executive orders, the stay-at-home order, business closures, modifications, we do all of those via live videos to our businesses. They've shared that me babbling on for 5 minutes is a lot easier for them to just push play, and they can go ahead and start prepping lunch or doing whatever they may need to be doing in their businesses. So
So Lindsay, you're using your iPhone to create little update videos for your business owners. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, my Android phone.
Oh, your Android phone. Sorry.
No, I go live and on big announcements, not everything. So some of the lives I've done, executive summaries. Yesterday, our city and police chief decided that they were going to just turn their head away from our eateries and drinkeries selling curbside cocktails. So we went live to share that to our restaurants. With going live during those, it allows for question and answer. We have a lot of people that tune in because they immediately get the alert that we're live. For things that aren't as important, if you will, or not as critical changes, we just post everything in links and try and give a brief summary of what that information looks like. Those updates usually revolve around the different funding opportunities, any updates to those funding opportunities, when we can expect them. We do share a lot. And while I'm no professional, and I keep telling our businesses this, like, I'm not a tax professional, I'm not an accountant, you probably should reach out to your professional ones, but I am still trying to keep myself educated so that I can assist them through those processes in some sort of way. I kind of got sick of seeing my own face, and I wanted to create something more interactive than just people typing into a chat engine. So we've launched a Monday morning merchant mingle through Zoom, and we ended up just going ahead and paying for the subscription. I had called in, just so everyone's aware, it's like $15 a month, and there's no contractual period. So at any point in time when this is lifted and none of us need Zoom any longer, you can send in your cancellation notice then. So we did go and do that. Within our Monday morning Zoom meetings with merchants, it's question and answer style. They're having an opportunity to share their ideas for what they're doing, what's working, what they would like to see from us, how we can all work together. And then it also allows for a little bit deeper dives into potential questions regarding funding. And also on that platform, we're doing just education, education, education. If your businesses are like mine, some of them live in the golden days and didn't have a great online presence prior to this. So we're trying to educate them on the importance and how that they can use their social media platforms and the need for e-commerce sites. And I'm going to briefly talk about it because I know I don't have long and I want to get to a couple of other things, but we have our local web developer that hosts our tourism site for us that has offered to host free e-commerce sites for our businesses for a period of 2 months at no charge. They're working through this, but it's a way that they're helping benefit our community through the pandemic to get our businesses online and give them potential ways to have additional revenue right now.
That's fantastic.
Yes, on our downtown page that's open to the consumers, there we're only sharing like major changes in executive orders and some tips and pointers for being safe and staying home and those kinds of things. We're not constantly sharing all of the funding opportunities that are available. We continue pushing the Show Love Support Local hashtag campaign. We're constantly pushing out how they can continue to support our small businesses during this time, since most of them are closed. I shared, I think it was last week, we currently only have 6.5% of our businesses with doors that are kind of open to the public through curbside pickup. we're continuing to use content that creates interaction with our consumers. So like some of those examples is rather than just saying it's Takeout Tuesday, we're saying, but where are you going to order from? We did a show us or tell us about your favorite experience in downtown. So that elicited a lot of conversation, a lot of people sharing pictures that we've never seen. What's your favorite food? We did some coming soon to downtown. If you could go anywhere. We do a trip planner specific to our community. So we did a social distancing at home. If you need some new reading literature, order a trip planner today. We've asked people to share their local love. So when they're ordering pickup, snap a picture, share it with us so we can see it too. And then I felt like we were really heavy in shop, spend your money with local businesses. And so we wanted to do a little bit of relationship building. So last week I had all of our businesses submit to me kind of missing you videos from them. Basically, you know, thanks for your support. We hope you're hanging in there. We hope everything's going well. We can't wait till this is over and you're back in our shops. That kind of messaging. We compiled all of that together and pushed that out to the public. And that got great response from our consumers, and people really like seeing that. They like hearing the message that they're missed. They like being able to see the faces of our business owners. So I like that. We're going to keep doing some video stuff like that moving forward. Additionally, Ben earlier addressed the ribbon cuttings for new online platforms. And that's something we've started working with because of our program that our web developers have launched. This week, we're finally starting to see some of those go live. So we're going to start putting together features on those. Other ways real quick that we're communicating so we can get to the question and answer is we're always continuing our email communication. We have changed our blog post concepts to virtual type blogs rather than a lot of text. So a walk through downtown, a photo diary, our event communications, because we've had to postpone some of those. They're being sincere. We're giving all of the details. We have made the choice not to use the word canceled at this point. We're saying that our events are postponed until the pandemic is over and we can set a reschedule date. We are fortunate in that the event that I had to postpone had ticket sales, and we said, you know, we're not going to offer refunds at this time. However, when we are able to set a reschedule date, if the new rescheduled date does not work out for you, we will deal with individual refunds at that time. Everyone's understood that. They've been fine with that. We also, much like everyone else, have put together a form through Google that our businesses can fill out, and we tell them to do it regularly with their business modifications and operations. And I'm probably a little different than some of us. We don't have a tourism department in our community, so I kind of get to play that role too. So our website is actually a community-wide tourism website. So I ended up being the lucky one who gets to host that webpage for our entire community through this pandemic. And I go in every morning and get that updated with what businesses may or may not doing. We're staying in constant contact with our city right now. We have ongoing text message change. We're kind of small, so we have probably a little less official conversations with our community leaders, text, phone calls, those kinds of things. We, like many, are going to continue our committee meetings through a Zoom platform, but we're out there a lot.
Thank you, Lindsay. Let's open it up to questions now to any of the presenters. And while people are typing in their questions, I'm going to ask Lindsay a couple questions. You mentioned that you're doing these interactive social media posts, asking questions, asking them to share. How is that affecting your reach and your engagement numbers? Are people really taking advantage of it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, some not as much as others, obviously. I found that if I post them around the lunch hour right now, that's when I'm getting the most traction from everything whenever I create those. but our involvement and our engagement and the views that we're getting are just exponentially increasing when we do posts like that.
Ben Muldrow, I can't unmute you, so I think that's on your side. Are you hearing from other folks that those sorts of engagement type posts are doing, keeping people engaged and people are interacting that way now a little more?
Absolutely. I mean, we are seeing a true hunger for that update. I love Lindsay's whole idea of the "we miss you." I think that's such an important message right now, and you know, anything that is a little bit of a break. And I mean, I even have one of our good friends here is a high school softball coach, and the softball team went and edited together this whole video of them like throwing the ball to each other, even though they weren't, you know, it was like they'd throw it off the screen and then it clipped to the next person catching it. And it was like it was an interesting way to keep their mind on something productive and storytelling. And then all of a sudden that video just starts spreading around and around and around because people are hungry for that local connection and for hearing what's going on and feeling like they're in the loop.
Perfect. Jeff, are you finding any modes of communication better than others with the public?
With the public right now, probably our social media channels, you know, both Instagram and Facebook have had the most success, but we are seeing a downward trend there. And while, you know, an occasional post, for example, our brewery ran out of to-go cans, and when they had made an order about 3 weeks ago, actually, and when it came in yesterday, that went ballistic, as we did a video of them receiving the cans and that type of thing. So some things are getting some traction, but we noticed all in all that people are becoming a little more detached.
Okay. Some fun ideas. Our local brewery that also sells pizza, they're doing curbside, and I don't know if they're still doing it, but for the first 2 weeks, you got a free roll of toilet paper with any to-go order. So to help with the shortage of toilet paper, they were having fun on social media, sharing that with each order you got a roll of toilet paper. So they were helping folks stock up. Any other questions out there? Everybody's kind of quiet this morning. Any other questions?
Keith, I would just add one thing.
Sure.
That kind of revolves around the communication. I believe we talked about it a little bit last week. I know through some messaging with other Missouri Main Street directors, but it seems like everybody in the state is kind of at a different place in their lockdown and their stay-at-home orders. So pay attention to the people who are ahead of you and start looking at the things they're doing. That way you're not having to just like rapid fire figure things out when it happens to you in your community, that you can go ahead and be prepared, because more than likely it is coming.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Lindsay. Thanks for mentioning that. National Main Street is doing a small business survey, so please push that out to your small businesses to fill out that survey. But we felt one of the questions that they didn't ask, that we are doing a follow-up survey, is if your community is under a stay-at-home order, how many businesses are open, how many businesses are closed, because that really affects how your small businesses answer those questions. If it's a stay-at-home order, the majority of your businesses are going to be closed because of the order. And so that certainly changes the retail dynamics in your community. So I think that's a great point to be made. We do have a question. For the businesses that are further behind on the social media chain, how do you encourage them to engage? Who would like to take that question?
Well, I can speak to it. We've got a couple of very long-term businesses that have been there for over 30 years that don't necessarily use their their social media channels as often as they probably should. We do a lot of posting for them and tagging them to encourage that, and that's been an ongoing thing for us, prior to this crisis. And often they would make comments to us, gosh, we can't believe all of a sudden we had a run on X. And we're like, yeah, remember when we came in and did that post for you? That's why everyone was coming in about that. These things do work. So sometimes it's just kind of helping show them the way with those types of things, and tagging those businesses whenever possible. But it sometimes is hard to get that horse to drink. And I think that's an ongoing challenge.
Yeah. Ben, I think this was talked about at the Downtown Happy Hour last Thursday, how this has really forced some of those long-term businesses that didn't necessarily have a great online presence to quickly realize that they were missing out and needed to get into the electronic world. Are you hearing and seeing that more and more?
Absolutely. And not only are we hearing it and seeing it, but I guess one of the great things about having a brother that's kind of helping aid in that transition is I'm able to see some numbers. And I mean, he helped a restaurant move to an online menu and to allow for online ordering. And literally in the first 40 minutes of the online ordering system being up, they did $170 in orders, and that was really before they had even made any kind of marketing splash about it happening. So there's part of me that's kind of like, okay, if a global pandemic can't show you the importance of social media and online sales, I think that you might have actually written your own future. I mean, I don't mean to be harsh, because I understand that this is people's businesses and their livelihoods, but
Right.
I mean, you've been gifted a gigantic amount of time to learn and to make this thing a reality. And I'm not exactly sure what other signs you might need to say, hey, maybe now's the time. But, we kind of think that the idea of just making the resources available, sharing best practices, and letting people to kind of get the clue.
Yep. I'm going to ask Lindsay a question. I don't know if you know the answer, but living in Excelsior, I have used a local restaurant's online ordering service that they've never had before, and they made it so easy to place an order. Do you have any indication from them of how that's going for them?
So our online ordering systems that have been implemented are going really well. We started surveying our businesses about percent increase, decreases in income over the course of the last 2 weeks in comparison to where they are in a normal week compared to last year, those kinds of things. And I am happy. I mean, I'm not happy, but the good news is I was expecting it to be far worse. And on average, last week, our businesses were only down 25%. Our restaurants, I'm going to say, not businesses, our restaurants were only down 25% from their normal revenue. Now, I think we're going to continue seeing that increase little by little as this continues to drag out and as we see the pandemic kind of get closer to us. But overall, really well. And I've had lots of conversations with our businesses like, hey, now you've done it. So like when this is over, why don't we think about continuing to do these things and keeping them be an active part of our businesses? And I think they're very open to that.
Yeah, we were talking early on in this that, the restaurants have an opportunity to evolve because we as Americans just don't cook that much. We love to go out and eat, as many of us know. Food and beverage is part of transformation strategies in a lot of our communities. And it was amazing how quickly they adapted to this new normal and are out there taking advantage, not necessarily great phrase on my part, but utilizing the situation to continue their business and being able to serve their customers. So kudos to those folks. Let me see if there's any more questions. No more questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Kayla to end it up for us.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you Thank you to Lindsay and Jeff and Ben. You guys did an amazing job. Great tools, great resources. So one thing that we want to push out is that it was recorded. Everything worked this time. So as far as we know, right, Keith?
Yep, as far as we know, it looks like it's recording.
So push it out to other communities and other people that need these resources. The other couple of things I want to talk about is that we have a Facebook downtown chat. Be sure to go there for additional resources. We have online resources that we keep updated on a daily basis. We also started yesterday leading Main Street News. So many of you all got that in your inbox. Those that are a one-man show there in the office and those that don't have a director, you guys can be able to have that resource come to you from our office on a weekly basis that you can push that information out. Again, next week's webinar is going to be all about our stimulus package, and SBA will be presenting that. As Keith talked about, be sure to fill out those surveys or push that survey for us. National Main Street will be stopping their survey on Monday, and we will be starting that survey over for an additional week. So we have also Missouri direct information with a couple additional questions. I know that's a little bit cumbersome, but we need to make for sure we're getting all the Missouri data that we need to make for sure that we are doing everything in our power of showing your all's worth, really, to the city, to our state legislature, and then also be able to collect that information to know what we need to package and ask for resources as we work through COVID-19. Is there additional resources that we need to be pushing to Department of Economic Development, to the governor's office? And we're only as good as the information we know. So again, hopefully you guys are pushing that survey out. And then we also are going to add a little bit to that survey. Last, you guys stay healthy. You guys are very passionate. I love that. You know, we're going to get through this and we are going to be much greater on the other side of this, I know, but you guys are doing an amazing job. And we are so grateful.
I want to thank Ben Muldrow. Ben, thanks a lot for helping us out on this webinar. Miss seeing you. We were supposed to have spent last week together working in some communities. Of course, that's been postponed. Lindsay, thank you very much for sharing the great work that you're doing in Excelsior Springs. Jeff, thanks for sharing all that wonderful stuff that you guys are doing in Independence. We appreciate all of you helping us out this morning. I'm going to throw one more resource out there. It's coming out today. Our grant resource directory email that's coming out. We've switched it to coming out weekly now because we're going to have a section in that is just related to COVID-19 type grants or things that are coming out. So you'll see that changing just a little bit also on the basis. So we're retooling some of our old tools and creating some new tools for you guys to use. So take advantage of those, and please keep us informed as things are happening in your community that maybe we need to be aware of, that we can help take with our other information to the state or provide resources through our workshops and stuff in the future or webinars. Just keep us posted because we want this to be relevant as we move forward. So we appreciate you being here and hope to see you next Wednesday for the SBA loan and stimulus package webinar. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.